Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sidetrack Sunday number 2 for December of 2020. Today's live stream is going to be all about giving away these starter train sets right here behind me. But before we get to that, let's see who's joining us for this evening. We've got Al Mars here. Bernard C's in the house. Brian Page, welcome. Dave, BNSFN Scales here. Dwight Curley's here as well. Fred Wild joining us. Mr. Jerry Satz, welcome. Caboose 121 just popping in. Jigoku Samurai's here. Ian from Lehigh River Subdivision. Mr. Lauren Hurwitz, my dad, is in the house as well. Manny Fernandez is here. And I see our special guest, Michelle Kempema, coming in from the chat. Or coming in the chat as well. Midsummer Railway N Scale. We got Mike from Crossed Anchors as well. Marty from M&M Shortline. My Life's Tracks is here. John from Mystic Southern Railway. Norm Miller's also in the house. We have John from Schuylkill River Valley. We have Dave Sparky 107 joining us from up in Canada. What's up, Mr. Steve Childers and Steve 87th PSAP. We may need to start numbering the Steves as well as the Johns and the Roys, and seems like we got a bunch of bunch of duplicated names coming up now. We have the NKP Railroad Legend. We'll have to ask him why he's a legend at some point. Jason the Train Freak is here, and Zachary. And Zachary, I apologize, but I'm not going to attempt to to say your last name at this point. So I have a couple guests here that are going to join us. The first one I want to bring up is Frank. This giveaway started from Michael McCarville and Nancy sort of had a conversation, and they came up with the idea to give away some starter sets this holiday season. And then Frank, this gentleman here, said we should do the same thing on your channel. And I said, okay, and now here we are. Welcome, Frank. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Heath. Thanks for having me.
So, Frank, why did you want to do this?
Actually, it was inspired by Mike McCarville there, but when he'd done that and included young kids in it, that's what I'm all about there too. So I was like, I actually asked you if I could donate one to your channel, and you said, let's reach out and make this bigger than that. So great idea you had, actually. That was just my suggestion. You came up with the whole idea. But it blew up like this, and I'm really grateful for all these people, and it's great to see this.
Yeah, it definitely sort of it grew a lot larger than I expected.
I'm sorry to put that all on you.
No, it's actually great. I mean, the fact that we've got these starter sets, which is great, and we're going to give starter sets to people. But then I was watching John from TSG Multimedia's YouTube channel, and he had a panel of guests, and they were talking about, I forget the exact topic, but it was kind of like longevity in the hobby or something like that. Mm. And Michelle Kempema was on, and we started talking about the youth program at her museum. So, Michelle, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Michelle, who are you?
Okay, I'm Michelle Kempema. I'm the executive director here at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, and we're located in Greeley, Colorado, which is about an hour's drive north of Denver and an hour's drive south of Cheyenne, Wyoming. So we're kind of in the middle there. So yeah, I'm the director here, and I also work in our youth programs, and so I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, this has become something bigger, and we're hoping to do it, year after year. Just so people know they can still contribute either directly through us here. I'm just putting the link up, or you can, of course, go and contribute directly to the Railroad Museum. I forgot I have this little banner for Michelle as well, saying who she is. Hopefully I've spelled her website correctly as well. Colorado Museum, Colorado Model Railroad Museum. I always mix it up. But yeah, it was actually funny because I was prepping to do this stream today, And Michelle, if you see what's up on screen right there, I'm calling you out.
I read Mike Mulligan and the Steam Shovel for kids for this Christmas. I recorded it in front of our canoes.
That's one of my favorite books.
Me too. I don't know why it reminds me of Christmas too, but I just feel like it's a great story for Christmas time.
Do you remember your first train set and like how you got into all this?
Me? My first train set?
Your first train set. Your personal first train set.
I was in college studying engineering, and I might have married one, and we had an N-scale train set. And that was my first experience. I didn't have it as a child. But then I did buy trains for under the Christmas tree every year for my kids. And since then I've loved it, but I came into it in college. So kind of later than some people.
Oh, that's awesome. So you weren't one of the, you weren't one of the ones that had an O-scale Lionel set in the basement as a kid. You
no, not at all. But I bought the Thomas the Tank Engine set and James the Red Engine set so I could trade them out underneath my Christmas tree. So later on.
Grandkids love Thomas.
My dad says he used to read that book to me all the time.
Oh, really? Mike Mulligan and the Steam Shovel. I love that book.
It's funny when you started showing the pictures. I was like, oh, I remember this. Oh, that's such a good book. When did the youth program start at the museum?
You know, we started about 5 years ago. So the museum's been here for 10 years. And our mission is to use model railroading experiences to educate, inspire, and bring joy to all ages. And so we have all ages right there in our mission statement. And we have the most amazing layout. We have a 5,500 square foot HO scale prototypical model railroad here, but kids can't touch it. So we were completely missing the mark on all ages. And we realized that. So we decided to start some youth programming just so we can start creating the next generation of people who are going to run this museum. And to help, kids in the hobby. And so do you want to hear the story of what we did?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get into that story, I'm just curious, you mentioned the age limits. What is the point where they go from the youth program to being able to operate on the layout?
We chose 16. Mainly because they can drive themselves here and be here all day without their parents being here. So we have a case-by-case basis. We have a 14-year-old who started at 13 who operates on our layout. So it's not set in stone, it's case-by-case. But that's kind of our standard rule. And we want you to have kind of been in our program or been in a club. We really encourage everyone who visits this museum to find a club locally. There's quite a few between Cheyenne and Denver, so they have lots of choices. And then they really get their hands on modeling a lot more detailed than they do just operating here. So we do encourage that.
Awesome.
That is great.
Yeah. Now finish that story. You're going to tell that I cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Cause it's a bit of a story. So I thought I'd ask first. So I don't know how to model because I came here as the director of the museum, not from super great modeling skills at all. So we called a school down the street. We have what's called a School of Innovation that's 2 blocks away that they had just opened up. And we said, hey, we'd like to do some model train stuff. What do you guys think? And they said, wonderful. They gave us an hour a day for 12 weeks every day. And so we ordered those Woodland Scenic, the big styrofoam modules. And we did different age groups at different times. And so between kindergarten and 8th grade, every kid in that school helped us build the Woodland Scenic models. And at the end, we put them all together into a great big layout. But it was quite a learning experience for me and for the kids. And I have to say, an hour a day in a public school, it was really fun and a lot of work.
Yeah. Loved
it.
Yeah.
So we just
it's interesting you mentioned those Woodland Scenics kits because that's what this is. This is one of the foam T-Trak module kits. Then I just sort of finished doing. I got it to this point actually just a couple days ago. So, how'd you guys choose to go with the T-Track modules? Why?
Well, with that school, we actually did the big modules. We did the HO scale, big 2 foot, the 2x4s, and then we did the corners. But we are currently doing T-Track. So, because of space limitations here and in the home. When we're working with the school, they gave us space. We had classroom space where we could build that stuff and leave it set up. It was wonderful. We don't actually have that kind of space here at the museum right now. We're working on that. So we actually do T-Trak, like the module you just had. And that's in scale. And those are great.
Yes. Yeah, I got into N scale too because of my space constraints as well, let's say. So yeah, it's really awesome.
And real estate in the home is a huge deal. So we have a lot of our kids, their parents aren't modelers that come to our youth programs. And so they're not really ready to put a 4x8 sheet of plywood anywhere in their house. So T-Trak works great because they could stack it in their closet and set it up on the table when they want to have it out. Or,
And then when people want to set it up, do you do it in the museum they set it up, or do you just go to clubs or events and set it up?
We can set it up here. We actually have a warehouse. It's just that it's not heated. So in the winter, we don't actually work on the T-Trak out there because it's too cold. But in the summer, we can set them up out there. We're working on a small layout. We're going to do one where we can have 10 modules, 5 on each side. And then the 2 end pieces will belong to the museum. So anybody can walk in the building with the T-Trak module, pop it in there because they're standard, and run it. So you can bring it with you when you visit the museum, pop it in, and we'll run trains on it. I'm so excited. We were going to have it ready for this fall, but with COVID, now it's a spring project. But we will get there, and I think it'll be fun.
Who actually teaches the youth program? I mean, I saw you were the one reading the book in the video that I saw earlier, but do you is it employees? Is it volunteers? How do people get involved in that?
It's a mix of both. So when we first started doing the Woodland Scenics, I was the only employee and we had 4 volunteers. And so it's really, we can't do it without the volunteers. It's amazing to have them. We usually have 3 or 4 volunteers working with us when we're doing stuff. And they're just wonderful people. In fact, our whole layout, the whole building runs off volunteers. We have a staff of 4 ladies who run the enterprise here and make sure the bills get paid and admissions is covered and the gift shop is stocked and everything else is volunteer.
So is it a museum or is it a club or is it both? I guess I'm a little confused because it's called a museum, but it almost seems to be more like a club.
But it's not a club. We're so different from a club. And this is how we're different. I get asked this all the time. This is a perfect question. So in a club, you go there because you're going to have your experience and you're there for camaraderie, fellowship, and learning to model and modeling together. When you walk in this building, you've probably come from a club that you belong to somewhere. But when you walk in here, you operate under our mission statement to educate, inspire, and bring joy to all ages. So it's the great equalizer here. And you're here for visitor experience. You're here for the public. You're here to provide joy through model railroading. And so it's a little bit different than a club. And we're made up of volunteers from all around the country and many, many clubs. So that's how it works.
So when people come into your museum to, let's say, be inspired by model railroading or whatever, do they come with their trains and can run? Or is it that they come to watch other people operate? They come to watch it. So I should explain our railroad because that will explain a lot of it. So we have a 5,500 square foot HO scale, fully dispatched model railroad. So we have a dispatcher in the dispatching office that the public can see and talk to. And each of our volunteers has a radio on and an NCE throttle in his hand or her hand. And we have anywhere between 14 to 18 trains. And they're 50 to 100 car trains on the layout at any time being dispatched. Wow.
And so when you come in, the public comes in to see this experience and you walk through our layout, you really walk inside it. It's quite different than a lot of them with really wide aisles because the operators are standing next to you, the visitor, which is great because you hear the dispatching, you hear the language, you hear the radios, you hear the sound of the locomotives. So sound is half of your experience in here. It's amazing.
That's really awesome. You get obviously a wide variety of people that come visit, and some people think the hobby's dying. I don't think the hobby's dying. I do think it's growing. But how do you feel it's kind of impacting what you do at the museum? And what kind of things are you doing to kind of grow the hobby? Because I think that's like, yes, we're talking a lot about giving starter sets to youths or just introducing trains to a new generation, but it's also about just growing the hobby in general. And I'm curious some things that you guys are doing
Well,
to help.
just the fact that we're one of the most popular tourist attractions in our region, and so we have people who've never seen a model train that come in. So
Cool.
we're kind of that bridge, that gateway between, oh, there's a hobby, and showing them this awesome hobby. And so we're kind of that bridge. But I really want to say how excited I am that you are giving away train sets, because that's huge and important, because it's not really accessible all the time. There's an accessibility problem for kids and communities because their parents don't know how to go online and order model trains. They're not sure what to order if they're new. And so having train sets like that, that's wonderful.
We did talk about instant gratification a lot when it came to model trains, whereas if somebody can log onto their computer and download a game and be playing it in 5 minutes, why would I buy a train set and have to wait for a week or longer, for it to show up? So that's a lot of why we're doing this as well.
If you didn't have the kit, you'd have to buy the locomotive. Okay, now you got to buy some cars, some track. Yeah. You got to have all these things. So it's not an easy instant gratification hobby. But when you buy a kit, like a set like you're giving away, they can at least run that today.
Yeah, and with these sets, they come with the track, they come with the controllers, they come with everything. So, you could, just basically get it, put it up around your tree or around your kitchen table or whatever. And, you have a running train.
But it's great though, because I've met so many people in the hobby now, all across America, people like you, awesome people. And if I ask where they started trains, usually it's, I got a set for Christmas.
Right.
So
the Carnegie Library here in Pittsburgh has a model train set that's up year round, but most of the time it's visited during these months here. Hopefully they're open. I don't know if they are now because our governor shut things down. But that layout actually goes back to another building. The Buell Planetarium used to do it just at Christmas.
Yeah.
But now the Carnegie Science Center, which is part of our museum network here, does it year round. But it's an O scale, of course. And they don't allow people to come in and run on it.
The Bronx Botanical Garden here in New York, unfortunately, again, not this year, but they do a G scale model train layout that it's popular to the point where you have to buy a ticket for a set time, and they only sell a certain amount of tickets per time. And we went a couple years ago as well, but it is really great. I mean, I wish model trains didn't have to just be a holiday thing. Like I think of them more as a year-round thing, but it's definitely a good way to get involved initially, at least.
It's a great way to get started.
Yeah, Conservatory does one here too, and for the winter months in their garden G scale.
Yeah. Yep. Don't get kids involved in games, just trains. There you go.
I did see a thing about, how expensive Xboxes are. And I think that's true. I think parents are willing to spend the dollars if they can learn what to buy. A lot of times they just don't know.
It's education.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting YouTube series. And I'm sort of thinking for myself, but for others as well. There are some people that do, kind of a Christmas YouTube video, and they'll do like one video on what to buy for Christmas, but to maybe make it a bigger thing, sort of like how to get started and walk people through, from the very basics of even just opening up one of these sets. If you don't know what you're doing, it could be interesting just opening one of those sets up and trying to get it all set up.
I was a single mom for quite a few years, and it would have been daunting for me to do it for my kids, to go get them a set. I would have needed like a checklist. I need all these things. So I think
and that's a little bit too why we're trying. The idea is if we're giving them to a model railroader that might subscribe to my channel, and then they're giving it to somebody, that hopefully they'll be that conduit to help them. Sparky's saying like, will it just sit in the box? It's like, well, if a model railroader gives it to you, hopefully they'll
help you set it up.
Hope you set it up a little bit too. Yeah. Does the museum do anything for the holidays?
Well, normally we do a lot for the
Normally,
holidays,
yeah.
but we've been shut down this year. We do get to open next Saturday, though. So we will be open with a capacity of 25, but it's going to be 25 happy people. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the holidays for us are huge because there's some sort of connection. I don't know if it's just part of Americana. I'm not sure if it's just in our culture or what it is, but there is a connection with trains and Christmas.
Yeah.
You expect to see a train under a tree. You expect to see that just a steam locomotive on a Christmas card. It's such a piece of Americana. So,
I finally watched the Polar Express for the first time like 2 days ago or something.
Shame on you.
Hey, at least I finally did it. But yeah, like
Don't be surprised if this turns into a roast Heath video very here.
yeah, we're trying to behave because Michelle's here. So Michelle, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, and you can decide how to answer this question. But we've already bought some money in, and the money's gone towards the train sets, and there's been a little bit of extra, but we'd like to try and get more money into your hands to donate, to the museum so that you can help expand the youth program. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about like what the budget of your youth program is, or even like if I gave you $20, like what does that $20 go towards, and what kind of impact that has?
Okay. Yeah. This year's been a little different with COVID, but let me tell you what we did. So we have been doing, after we did those Woodland Scenics kits, we started doing after school programming with all of our Boys and Girls Clubs. Are you familiar with that program? Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
We have one here, yes.
So we have 3 houses near us, 3 clubhouses, and we work after school programs with them. And we also were continuing to work with the School of Innovation, and we had Girl Scout and Boy Scout troops that work with us on different projects. And so when we shut down in March, we're like, how do we stay in touch with all these kids? So we decided to go virtual, and we created what we call STEAM Kids Virtual Classroom. And so we've done basically a different kit every month up through October. And then we're taking November, December off because the holidays and the kids are busy.
Yep.
But
you read a story.
I read a story for December. But we did do is we created take-home kits, and Boys and Girls Club delivered them to all the children's, and Girl Scouts, the leader, would come pick them up and deliver them. And then we had them here at the museum for families to come in and just stop. And even during COVID, we had safe drop-offs and curbside. And we started with 216 kids, which is what we normally run. And by the time we hit June, we had 785 kids in our program. Now, every one of those kids gets a kit. So those kits are costing us $3 to $4 a kid, because inside the kits are, like, when we did paleontology, we made fossils and we put them in there, and things they would excavate out of plaster, and we had all kinds of stuff. We did structures, so they all got a deck of cards, and they all got straws and pipe cleaners and the supplies, and then we do 3 or 4 lessons with what's in the kit. We did nature, so they got trays and yarn and string and all sorts of supplies, and we try to keep like $3 to $4 a kit. But when you have 785 kids getting those kits, we got a grant from Union Pacific to help us make that possible. So that was wonderful. Wow. But we want to continue to do this because families are telling us it's wonderful because the whole family is doing it together in their home. And so we're starting, and I know it sounds crazy. We did nature, and we're always tying it back to some sort of a modeling or real railroading theme. So somewhere in there is either a piece of modeling or a piece of trains. We did a month on art, and all the kids got the basic watercolor set, that you get.
With all that.
We did 4 lessons based on a Union Pacific watercolor painting from our collection of an E9 unit. And it was really fun because we learned a lot of lessons looking at that painting. So we were able to pull trains into art. So, because you can't ask kids to paint, a perfect locomotive or anything. We were painting rocks from the painting, or we were, things like that. So we just kind of adapt we call it STEAM because it's science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And so to your question, when you donate $20 to our youth program, it is designated to our youth program, and the money goes to that. Now, when we did T-Traks last year, every kid got a locomotive. We bought them small. They couldn't be It was not a Centennial because they don't fit. They all got a shorter locomotive that would run well on what they have. And so, it's things like that. That's what we spend the money on.
Should I put you on the spot and ask you what kind of locomotive it was?
It was a mix because some were donated.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. And I have to give a shout out to like Intermountain Railway. They have donated boxcars to our boxcar racing and build it boxcars. The kids had kits they could build. So some of the manufacturers have donated to our youth programs too. And Kato sent us some track when we needed it. So they've been
amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle, Brian Page is asking, on a normal year, how's attendance at the museum?
Okay, so we're really a small place, but we average about 20,000 visitors a year, and we're only open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday most of the year. Okay. So we've had 170, 180,000 visitors since we opened.
Nice.
COVID. So
the train.
The last question.
Yeah.
What about a big boy? Of course we have a big boy running here. Are you kidding? I live close to Cheyenne.
I think what he's asking was whether you were giving away big boys.
Oh, no. We couldn't afford that. I wish we could. But it wouldn't run on their layout. It's too long.
That's true.
The curves.
So I want to start giving away some of these starter sets. I think that's why some people are here. So what I'm thinking, and I guess I should make myself bigger for a secking. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is, unfortunately, the HO set hasn't arrived yet. So what I'm going to do is we'll draw for the N scale set, and we'll draw for the O scale set. And then a little bit later, we'll draw for the HO scale set. But whoever wins, what I'm trying to do is to have people send me their addresses as soon as possible so that I can get them in the mail as soon as possible so that we can get them to you as soon as possible. So what we've done to pick these out is I asked Michelle if she had a deck of cards handy. So what I did is I went through and I assigned everybody to, a card basically. So like Rick Bailey, I assigned to a red 8. And he wants to win the HO set, so we'd like to give the gift of modeling this season, HO scale. So I've done this with everybody. So everyone's got either a red, red cream Brian Page. This would be for my grandson Tyler to see if I can get him interested in the hobby. And then I also have them for all the black ones. So
that was too young, Brian.
Yeah. The N scale is called the Stallion by Bachman, and the HO scale is called the Thoroughbred by Bachman. So they're both Norfolk Southern train sets, and I think it's kind of funny. So they're very similar, except there's the Texaco tank car in this one, and in the Thoroughbred set, I believe it's a box car or something, something like that. So let's kick this off by having Michelle draw us a card, and then I'll see who our winner is. You did shuffle those cards after we...
I did, and I have to tell you, these came out of one of our STEAM Kids kits. This was Structures and Engineering.
You stole from the kids?
I went down and pulled one out of one of our These are actually the leftovers. So
okay.
I'm going to shuffle it one more time. And then...
I'll throw Rick Bailey's card away.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it over here so I can't see them. And we'll go with this card. And it is the king of what? There we go.
A black king.
Do you have anybody assigned? Oh.
I do, Zachary. And look, he wanted N scale. Like, how perfect did that work? I saw Zachary when we first checked in, so hopefully he's still in the chat with us. He'd say, I'd like to give an N scale set to my nephew. He wanted to visit the Illinois Railway Museum last summer, but we had to put a hold due to the pandemic. Thank you. So, Zachary,
wonderful.
Congratulations. Awesome. Yeah. That's so exciting that you drew an end. Like, did you plan that? How did you figure that out?
That was good. That was total luck.
That was really good. Let's see if, there we go. Zachary.
Oh, I hope your nephew has so much fun with that. He's going to love it.
Yeah. So Zachary,
don't forget to work with him on it.
Go to the about page in my YouTube channel, and my email address is there. Or if someone wants to post it up, John Schuylkill River Valley or whoever wants to post it, it's, I don't know what's easiest. Heath at humancityjunction.com, or I've got a whole bunch of them. So just, so my email's out there. You can find an email. So next, it's kind of funny. I don't have any O scale. We were actually talking about this earlier. Let me see if I can. Oh, it's here. I got to do this. Everyone's saying congrats, Zach. So this is O scale. I don't know anything about O scale. I keep trying to get, like, Dakman Productions is here. He made a whole video on O scale versus O gauge versus semi scale versus high rail versus
O27.
Oh, right. O27. There you go. Michelle, do you know what all that stuff means? I have no idea.
I do.
I just find it so complicated. N scale to me is so much easier. So much easier.
Wild. I live in the land of narrow gauge, so I know about.
There you go. Yeah, narrow gauge can get complicated also. Brian from Cross Anchors Railroads is an O scale guy. Michael McCarville says, "Okay, now the big box." So
I like the ready to run products too. Those are great.
There's no orange ore cars in there either.
There's no orange ore cars in here, so Cross Anchors isn't hopefully going to come steal this off of me. But it's this really cool. I didn't want to take it out of the plastic because I wanted whoever got it to kind of like get the whole unboxing experience. So I didn't take it out of the plastic, so it's a little hard to see. Oops, I meant to click on this one. Dakman made a video. He made it for me because I kept asking about it. I've watched it once. I probably need to watch it like 10 more times, but we'll get there. So this looks like maybe a little NW2 switcher, Pennsylvania Railroad, which I know is also a favorite of some people in here. So it's a little PRR, little switcher. It's got a Pittsburgh and Lake Erie boxcar.
P&LE?
What?
P&LE?
Oh, P&L, yes. P&L. So both Frank and I are from the Northeast. I actually grew up in Pennsylvania. Frank still lives in Pennsylvania. So that's kind of, it had a little bit to do with why I chose the Norfolk Southern and the Pennsylvania Railroad sets. So Michelle, do you think you can can pull out another card for us? We'll see who.
Okay, let's see. I'll do it again where I don't look at the cards, and I will pull out this card right here. What do we have? 4 black.
4 black. Let me go back to here. Black 4. Harry Deal. Any good.
Okay.
So this works. He'd love to give the gift of model railroading to his neighbor's kids this Christmas. Any scale.
Oh,
perfect.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely great.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
great.
Awesome.
And you're right there next door to help him.
To become a Mr. Wilson.
Yeah. That is great. And that's one of the things Michael McCarville was talking about a lot too, was like, do you have any neighborhood kids that come over to your house and see the trains, but don't have them at home, themselves? So this is, kind of an opportunity for them to, get a set to bring home as well for themselves. So yeah, I don't think I saw Harry tonight. So if anybody knows Harry, maybe reach out to him, but yeah. So Chew Down. Awesome.
Maybe his channel has an About Me page. We can look him up.
That's true. That's true. Someone will have to check that out. That's great, wanting to help your neighbor's kids. Yep, that is true.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
I thought it might be neat too. There were a couple of these that I just wanted to read off to people. A couple of the entries that I thought were kind of interesting, just like who people were thinking about giving stuff to. This one in particular I thought was kind of interesting because we kept talking about giving to a new generation, giving to a youth. And he wanted to enter, but he said he's got a problem. He says he's certain he could give the set to the NVR WAS Railroad Club STEAM Youth Program, a local children's group. Then he went on to say, but as we have senior citizens living in Savior Nursing Home quarantined, so for a short time, I would like to stretch the rules to share this gift with our elderly to lift their spirits.
Oh, that's cool.
I love that.
And I just thought this comes from Jim Van Amberg. And I just thought that was really great because, we think about expanding the hobby sometimes as just the youth. And I know when we think of certain organizations, we think of them being very senior citizen heavy. I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but there are people in senior citizen homes or people that are, moving into facilities that can't bring their big layout with them, let's say even, that, being able to gift a set like this
So
to
can
them
I tell
would be
you
cool.
something that we've done here that
Absolutely.
I love? So 2 years ago, I was in Costco of all places, and the Polar Express, the Lionel Polar Express set that runs on batteries, they had them there. And I had never seen that before. I didn't know it existed, that you could have a train set that ran on batteries. And I
Wow.
called my board president and I said, I have an idea. I need 5 of these. So we bought 5 of them, and I took
wow.
5 nursing homes, and they needed to be batteries because the staff would have to do them on their own, and
Right.
set them up. And we gave them to nursing homes so they could set them up. We gave them a whole bunch of batteries to go with it. And I had so much fun. My mom went with me and we set them up at these 5 places, and we can't do it this year. So I'm very sad about that, but we really have enjoyed that in the past. So that is such a good point. Don't forget about your seniors.
Yep.
And it was really interesting how much a train will jog memory. And I think that's part of the whole Christmas and trains connection, memories.
This is hitting me right in the heart here. My wife personally works at a personal care home, and they can't have anybody go in and out right now, but they do have a tree set up in there for them. And as I was just showing you the other day, I have a ton of O-scale stuff.
Yep.
I am going to take a loop tomorrow, a transformer, and an engine and 3 cars, and send it with it.
Yeah.
That's
wonderful.
I didn't think of that. I want to smack myself.
I went and got some trees to go in the middle, and we were at this one nursing home, and it was a bunch of ladies that came out and started telling me the stories of their train rides throughout their lives. And it was such a blessed day. So I'm going to cry. Okay. Stop.
Yeah, that's how it'll get there.
So
yeah, we do get pretty tunnel visioned in our lives a lot of times, and don't necessarily even see our next door neighbors or I'm in New York City, so like you walk down the streets and there are a lot of different sort of facilities for people. So yeah, and model trains have been have been a big part of my life. So yeah, it's interesting. So
they bring joy to people. I'm serious. That no matter who they are, they may not be a modeler, but the public that walks in here, everybody loves the train.
Yeah.
And at some point, some image or memory has touched their life. And so they're like, oh, the train.
I had to read this one because this is from my dad. He says, when I put him in a home to make sure it has a train set.
Unless you come to Greeley, then we'll have one there for you already.
See, now I'm reading that and I'm thinking that, oh, he just gave me permission to put him in a home. I think that's what that was.
Oh my goodness.
Right. And Ray brings up a good point here as well. With the way this year has been, it's helped me keep my sanity. I wouldn't be here doing the YouTube channel if it wasn't for losing my job back in March. But
and hobby shops have been booming ever since it started. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. And I have to tell you, it forced me onto the social media platform and meeting people in the hobby around the country, and Facebook groups that I didn't know existed that I've now belonged to. And see, I have learned more about the hobby this year and people in it all around the country, just like you guys, because of this. So it's that silver lining in a storm.
Yeah, I've gotten to know some people in the UK and in Australia and all around the world. And, as we go through our situation in our little world, to hear that somebody in the UK or somebody in the Australia is having a similar experience,
Or worse.
or worse. It definitely makes you realize kind of how global. But yeah, so the train freak is right. Is too that unfortunately the mom and pop hobby shops that haven't made the online transition are having a really tough time right now.
It's been hard for them.
So,
and
yeah.
so have museums. I mean, we're blessed because I have a board of directors that have been conservative for many years, and we have cash reserves that we are using this year to survive this year. And there are many small museums and even some of the tourist railroads that are struggling, and my heart just really goes out to them.
Yeah, a lot of the tourist railroads that made their money doing the Polar Express rides during the holidays, and they've missed that season.
So as soon as you can, go visit and go ride. They need you.
We've been talking to, I've been hearing him talk, and I've started talking to the show director for the Amherst show. And he talked about a lot of his smaller venues where that's the show. They make all their money for the year. And, so he's trying to figure out how to do an actual train show virtually. Like, how do you actually sell some small vendors' products, in a train show? So,
right.
Live time auctions.
Yeah, exactly. Are you gonna be, and I totally blanked. Oh, are you gonna be doing any remote operating? Is that something your museum's considering?
No, because of the way we're set up with we have an actual CTC machine that we use to dispatch. So for us to go remote, we'd have to bypass that system. So it'd be a lot of work for us to do that. So
and one of us would break it.
That T-Trak that we're going to put in here, I think we can remote operate that.
One of us would just break it.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Frank, say that again.
One of us would just end up breaking something.
I know.
Things break when I run. I'm usually the ultimate tester. Let me try it.
Dackman Productions. I found out that Heath Hurwitz, that's my last name. Human City Junction Model Railroad goes to the Greenberg Edison train show, which is the one I attend every time they have it. Yeah, I grew up on Greenberg train shows. That's what we had. And, I very vividly remember going down the aisles when everything was Athearn blue boxes. And there would just be stacks of Athearn blue boxes everywhere. And it's really funny. Like, I probably never would have met Dackman, but now that I know that he goes to the Greenberg shows, the show I was at in February, right before we shut down, like, he was probably there the same day, and we wouldn't know it. But now, now we will. There are retirement communities which will let you have your trains. I've seen ads in Model Railroader and MRH magazines. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. But yeah, okay. So why don't we give away the last HO train set?
Okay.
So we'll have Michelle draw another card, and we'll do that. And just whoever does win this, just know that I will get it as soon as I can, get it shipped back out to you. I will.
I'm not looking at them. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We'll go to this.
I'm ready.
We didn't pull from this end last time. We'll pull this card.
Did I number
card?
That's Harry's card again. That's Black 4, which you pulled last time.
I pulled the 2 Black 4s out of the deck. I pulled the same one because I put it back in and shuffled it, didn't I? Told you I could do things.
Try again, Michelle. Try again.
Let's not pull the exact same card again.
There's another Black 4 in there.
If you mess up twice in a row.
There is one more Black 4 in here. It better not be that.
It is another black card.
It's black.
Black 6. See, Chuck. Look, HO.
There we go.
Oh my God, did this work out?
Wow, that worked out. I was so nervous that we were going to be like picking cards and this was going to be like a nightmare, and it's like worked out perfectly. So
I was so nervous you were going to do it in a bingo style.
Were you worried I was going to put decals on a boxcar? I don't know if Michelle knows, it's kind of an inside joke. Sidetrack Sunday is like a weekly thing. So Jason is next week's, and he did a live stream where he put decals on a boxcar, and it took longer than expected. It didn't quite go as when you do it live. That's what happens.
That's what happened.
Live.
It took Heath 4 hours one day to get a train moving.
It did, but I got it moving. It was moving by the end of the stream. So Chuck says he has 3 younger grandkids and 1 on the way, so it would find a good home. That's so awesome. Congrats,
Chuck.
That's wonderful.
That's really awesome.
I love that.
So what I was thinking, check my notes to see if I... So what I was thinking of doing is, Michelle's talked about her entry into trains. I don't know if I've specifically talked about it, but my first train was an HO, a Tyco HO Chattanooga train set. I believe it had a steam locomotive and it had a red caboose. And I actually showed off the red caboose in a previous video. But I'm curious for people in the chat, if people would like to share, like, what was the first train set that they got, and if they remember who they got it from. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to post. We'll see how this goes. This is always an adventure. I'm going to post the StreamYard link in, and we'll see. Maybe we can get 1 or 2 people to come up and tell us about their first train sets, and talk about that a little bit. And actually, if Harry Deal, now I'm forgetting the first winner's name, I'd have to go look it up. Or if Chuck are here and they want to talk a little bit about who they're going to give it to, that would be awesome as well.
Yep.
And while we're waiting for somebody to come visit us, Sidetrack Sunday next week, it's going to be on Jason's channel. We're going to do a kind of a holiday show. So a Sidetrack Sunday holiday show where all of the Sidetrack crew is going to be there. And Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, are you giving away your train sets on that stream then, or are you going to give them away ahead of time? Oh, I thought I heard somebody yelling in the background, and I was like, how is Jason yelling the answer to me in the background?
What better wisdom from those Navy vets? Look at that.
Yeah, we can help our local shops, and everyone benefits the future. It's in our power to keep the world's greatest hobby growing. Lots we can do to help the hobby. Yeah. Toys for Tots, too, if people don't know, they seem to do a lot with trains as well. I saw a video where they have these little tiny trains that are like ride-on, but have you seen this, Michelle?
I have not. I'm surprised. I'm like, Toys for Tots, really? I need to know this.
Yeah, Toys for Tots seems to do a bunch with trains as well. They actually had, in some town, these guys all get together. They ride their trains. You know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah, this is Rudy Garbley. He does this at his museum, and they are, where are they? I should know where they're located. But yes, they do this with CSX. I think is the help.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong, but this is Rudy Garbley of Garbley Publications, and he's a volunteer for that. I remember him telling me about this. And they fill
really
a
awesome.
They fill a boxcar.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? Like, that's like, how awesome is that? So
next year we fill a subway.
Say that again?
Subway?
Next year we fill a subway.
That'd be.
You have to catch it quick. Hurry, throw them in before it leaves.
Oh yeah, Ray says apparently I have an unboxing that I need to do next Sunday if the package shows up. Ray, do you know what you're getting? I don't know what Ray's package she's talking about is, but anyway, we've got somebody down here in the basement. Let's bring him up. Say hello. This is Midsummer Railway N Scale. How you doing?
All right, Heath. I'm good, thank you.
So, do you remember your first model railway and where you got it from?
Yes, I do. My first railway was a HO, and I got it for my birthday, and I was about 8 years old, and it was a Victorian. So I'm from Australia, right? So it was, and I live in Victoria, which is one of the states. It was a VR diesel and locomotives, and for my birthday, not only did I get the basic Hornby layout, but I also, friends and family gave me extra bits. So that was my first layout. And that was when I was about 8. And then I sort of lost interest when I got a bit older. And I got back into it a few years ago, downsized, and then I'm now into N scale. So I had a 00 for a while, and my mate now has my old layout, and I still play with my old layout, and I've got the N scale as well.
You're actually a perfect example of kind of what we were talking about earlier about the expanded community due to our current situation.
Correct.
You're from Australia. Like, I think that's amazing that we're connecting from, Colorado to New York to Pennsylvania to Australia. Like, that's
it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. I've been watching your videos, and I've been watching Frank's and a whole heap of them. But it's really nice to be able to join in and say hello. I've learnt a lot, and I'm always learning. I'm great on the electronic side, but I'm crap on everything else. So I have to play around with it and get it,
I feel the same way. I kind of know what I'm doing with the electronics, but when it comes to like scenery and all that kind of stuff, I barely.
Is where we could work together, because I can paint anything. I can't wire it for.
Well, that's why I've got to be honest, Heath, I've enjoyed yours because, and I'm not being horrible when I say this, but you're so real. No, but you're so real. You make mistakes and you go, oh yeah. And that's, look, I make mistakes too, but that's why I don't do a lot at the moment, or a lot of YouTube, because I'm a bit self-conscious about making the mistakes. But you've really changed my mind about that, and I really enjoy your stuff. Thank you.
I really appreciate that, and it took something to show my face on YouTube, but it also then took something to show the mistakes and show the bloopers. But I thought that was like, that's the reality of it. That's
look,
like,
I get it. Look, I've always
so
been
much the
behind
reality
the
of it.
camera. Right. So, I have lots of not just model railway YouTubes. I've had other YouTube clips, but I've also done weddings and things like that. So I've always been behind. I've even done audio productions. I've done CD productions and all that sort of stuff. So I'm always behind the camera, so to speak. But I'm just getting into being here live. It's a
different experience.
It is.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I'm a project manager for AV stuff, so I've always been behind the scenes. Like,
Yep.
I know what to do from the other side of it. I just don't know what to do from this side of it, really.
I was into computers for a while, and I was a systems administrator, but due to health reasons, I've had to give that away, and that's when I've sort of got back into model railway. Mind you, one bit might take me a couple of weeks, because by the time I look at it and go, no, that's crap, pull it apart, put it together again. It takes me a long while to do things, but I potter along.
Yeah. Sparky 107, making the mistakes on our layouts is what makes it ours and something to be proud of. I did that is an awesome feeling. And that's so true.
Look, I agree.
Is so true.
So Heath, I want to thank you too for having me here with you guys tonight.
Before you thank people, Frank, don't thank people yet. Okay, now you can thank people now that this gentleman's here.
Oh, well, hey, Mike. Hey, Mike, I want to thank you for the idea. Heath, I want to thank you for making it happen. I was just partly facilitator. I want to thank her for what she does at the museum. But my beloved Steelers are on TV, and I am missing it.
Good luck.
So I'm going to drop off, and I will watch the replay of this later. Congratulations to everybody that got a train set, though. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Good luck with the game. I appreciate it.
All right.
So, Michael, welcome. So you've started something.
It's a good thing. Yeah, I was getting really, like I said earlier, I was getting really bummed out about the whole year, and it was starting to affect me, and I didn't want it to, so I decided, it's like, you know what? I remember my first train set, and I want to give one away. So One thing I did want to mention that the first train set, my train set that I gave away on December 2nd. There has been some postal service issues.
Yeah.
Let's just, without getting
We
into
just leave it at that.
politics of
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
yeah, let's just say that.
all
Just-
around
just-
the world, trust
Just
me.
leave it there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was shipped on Thursday, December 3rd. It's the 13th. I shipped it 2-day priority mail to Ken, who's on this broadcast. It's still not there.
Yeah.
So if anybody is a winner, Heath will be sending you something, but it'll be more like a July 4th present than a Christmas present.
Happy
Yeah,
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
I'm gonna spend a little extra money and we'll send it UPS, which I don't know that it's gonna be any better, but
It'll be better. It'll be
And
better.
it will, look, I've had stuff quicker from America, England, and Taiwan than I can 50 Ks away.
I remember you saying that on a live stream that you couldn't get something from the town over. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yep, it's still a bit much the same. It's quicker to get things overseas than to get it from Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's so I'm gonna bring up Dave P as well, but Michael, do you remember your first train set and who got it to you? And then we'll pass it over to Dave to answer that same question.
Okay, so my first train set, I was probably 1.5. I was crawling around on the floor. I could barely pick up the engines, and I was covered in Christmas tree tinsel. And it was in the house that my grandfather built, my grandmother in Los Angeles when they first moved out there. And we were visiting that Christmas because they hadn't seen me in a while. So that was my first train set. It was an 027. And I really remember very little about it other than what I have in pictures. But I've had a train set ever since, and lots of stuff in boxes.
Yep. Absolutely. Dave, what about you? Remember your first train set?
First train set was a Lionel, my grandmother. She kept it at her house. We had that, and then my uncle had about an 8x8 HO Tyco down in her basement. We got every once in a while got a chance to play with that.
Nice. And I know, Dave, I just mentioned this too. Dave's moving his layout from one room to another. How's that going for you?
It's going good. The area for the helix is done, and the two bench works for the layout are done. Now I just got to cut up another sheet of plywood down to 3-inch strips so I can finish it.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone's talking about how it seems like the mail service or the package service is a little slow these days. So
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Michael, and I'm sorry, Midsummer Railways, I forget your name. Greg, right. See? Greg, Michael, and Dave, I'm going to drop you guys down, and then Michelle and I are just going to say goodbye. But thanks for telling your stories. Really appreciate that. And, I think it's neat that we all have similar stories and we all remember our first train sets. So,
and Heath, one other thing before you do, you and I have actually talked quite a bit about this offline. We've also talked about doing this every year.
Yes.
So,
look, I think it's a great idea, guys.
Yes.
So we're gonna commit now to doing it in 2021, and we'll see how it goes.
And maybe we'll be a little more organized that year too.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Probably not. Don't count on it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Heath, for doing
Thank
this.
you. Take care.
So, Michelle, any final words you want to share with us? Thanks for being on. I really appreciate you coming. It was I keep seeing you on John over at TSG Multimedias, and I feel like you have become this this online sort of social influence in the industry. So I think it was great that you were able to come and help support what we're doing. And
I'm honored to be here, and I love that you're doing this. I truly have a passion for this hobby and for all things rail, and so to hear you you guys on your own decided to do this. You had donors who put it together. Thank you to everyone who was involved. What a great idea to continue getting train sets out to kids. It's so important, and you might change their life.
Absolutely. So I'd like to kind of end this with, I'm going to show a little loop that I made. I've put together all the current contributors. So if you've contributed tonight, you won't be on the list. But I put this together. So Michelle, if you just want to hang out for 1 second, I'll drop you down. I'm going to play this little
Sure.
loop. And then once I end the stream, I'll say thank you again. So
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone that contributed. Congratulations so much to our winners, and please come visit us next week on our holiday Sidetrack Sunday. So thank you.